The saga of Kilmar Abrego Garcia continues, right? The peaceful Maryland father, who the left proclaimed a huge victory for when he was brought back from El-Salvador, has been, of course, immediately detained for deportation to Uganda. All right, and this is exactly what's being discussed by Stephen Miller on the White House lawn. But before we get to these clips, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
On Kilmar Abrego Garcia, could you just speak a little bit about the administration's decision to keep him in ICE detention, taking up a bed when he's already on the U.S. Marshals monitoring services of the criminal trial? And also, if you could speak to the decision or the plan to deport him to Uganda. The judge in the immigration case, I should say, raised concerns about coercion with that in a hearing earlier this week.
Why would it be coercion to send somebody to Uganda?
They said it was possible coercion. They didn't make.
No. I'm just yes. It was a rhetorical question, which I'll address. But so first of all, this is the issue with crazy liberal judges everywhere: is people who are a clear flight risk, a clear threat to public safety, get released over and over and over again. We see that here in Washington D.C., not in the immigration context, but you see individuals all the time who are charged with extremely serious crimes. They are released on their own recognizance, and they go on to commit robbery, muggings, carjackings, murder. I mean, I've seen example after example of extremely serious felony, including homicides, where the individual would have been in jail but for the fact that they were released by a judge. Obviously, the U.S. government, with someone who is at extreme flight and public safety risk, like Garcia, we are not going to allow them to be on the street where they can engage. I mean, this is someone, as you know, who's not only a member of a terrorist organization, who's not only been accused of battery, but who's been accused of grave crimes against children. This is not someone we're going to allow to be out on the street. Now, so the point about Uganda, you just have to marvel at this. The same left-wing NGOs who tell us that we should open our borders to all the poor countries of the world also tell us that it would be unfair, improper to have anybody live in those countries. Well, if those countries don't have good systems of law and good systems of governance, then why would we want to have open migration from those countries? So these two propositions are in complete conflict. But more fundamentally, remember, Garcia has said he doesn't want to go back home to El Salvador. That's what he said. So we're honoring that request by providing him with an alternate place to live. We're not a travel booking agency. It's not our job to say to illegal alien terrorists, pick your favorite destination in the world and we'll send you a charter jet there. We have countries that have very graciously agreed to help resettle nationals from other countries, which is a great benefit to the United States. And obviously that's something that Garcia is eligible for.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Stephen Miller is a national treasure, right? He completely owns the lady asking this question. Why in the world is Abrego Garcia being held in detention when he's already being monitored? Well, I don't know. Is it possible that he's an illegal immigrant who has ties to MS-13, who also has charges pending about human trafficking, who's also accused of doing stuff with children? Okay, all of that, of course, means he shouldn't be walking around in our community. And of course, Stephen Miller makes the other excellent point that how many times have we seen in all these liberal places like New York or California or even DC where a judge has a soft heart and lets the criminal out on bail or something like that, and then they go ahead and do something really horrible to someone? Why would we give him that chance? Not to mention, of course, he's also a flight risk as someone who has associations with organized crime and is also here illegally, right? Why would you take that risk at all? But of course, the left is kind of stuck in a catch-22 on this position because you have Donald Trump in the past saying that, hey, we have all of these people coming here from these S-hole countries. But the left is saying, we don't want to send him back to these S-hole countries. So which one is it, right? So the left is basically being forced to admit that America is the best. That's why everyone wants to come here, even though in the past they've said, oh, America is the worst country ever. So many places are better than here. And yet for some reason, we seem to be a magnet for all of the illegal immigrants. But let's go ahead and check back in on the status currently of Abrego Garcia, right? Over here, we have NBC giving a little timeline here for the Salvadoran father of 3. I guess NBC is still keeping up appearances, right? So first, we have most recently, he applied for asylum in immigration court after he was returned to the U.S. His lawyers have also filed a lawsuit to ensure his right to due process as his deportation cases continues. All right, that case is being heard by a federal judge in Maryland, Paula Zinnes. And finally, he has a federal criminal case in Tennessee where prosecutors have charged him with human trafficking. And of course, he has pleaded not guilty. So what's hilarious here is that I don't think he's going to get his asylum claim because he's here illegally. And oftentimes they do get denied. But this case is being heard in Maryland. So of course, it could end up being granted. But that won't necessarily matter because in Tennessee, where he has this human trafficking charge, right? If he gets convicted of that, then of course that's going to null and void his asylum claim and he will be deported to sweet. So this does not end well for him in basically any scenario. He is not staying here. And yet, of course, the Democrats and the left have hitched their wagon to this guy, right? The worst possible person they could, who has cases pending for some pretty horrible stuff, and of course also has known associates who are members of MS-13, and of course is here in the country illegally, right? So as I mentioned, not going to end well. But the Democrats don't care about any of that because up to them, they would not deport anyone, right? It doesn't matter what someone does, as long as they're in this country, then they should be allowed to stay, which of course to you and me doesn't make any sense because at the very least you'd think they would side with getting out the violent criminal illegal aliens, but we can't even do that, right? With all the protests we've seen at all the ICE raids, etc., they don't care who's being arrested or deported. They want everyone to stay here, which of course is completely insane to people like you and me who still have functional brains. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. Do you like t-shirts? Of course you do. And now you can support the channel by buying an Angry Teacher t-shirt designed by me, Angry Teacher. So if you like America, if you like freedom, if you like liberty, then go ahead and click the link in the description where all designs, of course, are 100% mother approved. So enjoy yourself and find something you like today.